Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
Hall of Fame weekend. It's parades and speeches at Cooperstown. And as the first Diamondback into the Hall of Fame is honored in New York, D-backs fans home in Arizona collect their Randy Johnson Hall of Fame bobbleheads. A big crowd here tonight with the D-backs handing out the big unit bobbles. It's game 3 of 4, the Brewers and the D-backs on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthew and Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks looking to get things turned in the right direction again here against Milwaukee. And, Bob, that has to start with the offense.
It really does, and it's kind of surprising to see the way the offense has collapsed over the last 10 games. I mean, this is a team that's third in batting average in the National League. They're among the leaderboard in just about every important offensive category. Second in the National League in stolen bases, but for the last 10 games, they've really had a hard time getting it going.
Hopefully they'll be able to get it going tonight against rookie Taylor Youngman. He starts for the Brewers, and for the Diamondbacks, it's Ruby De La Rosa. His last start here earlier this week against the Marlins, he had that double play ball working.
Absolutely, and it's a good thing. The very definition of effectively wild in that ball game. He walked 5 batters, gave up 5 hits, but had 4 double plays turned behind him, which tells you that when Ruby's keeping the ball down in the zone, getting that soft contact, his defense will make the plays behind him.
Big crowd here tonight. Everybody wanted their Randy Johnson bobblehead, so it should be a fun night here at the ballpark. The Diamondbacks and the Brewers. More on remembering Randy when we come back. We ask Glenn Sherlock, who's been here since day one, for his big unit memory. That's next. Brought to you in part by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. Get the new steak and egg breakfast burrito at Jack in the Box. It's not your basic breakfast burrito.
Welcome back to Chase Field. I'm Kate Longworth. The Diamondbacks hoping Ruby De La Rosa's fastball finds the path to victory in Game 3 of this 4-game set with the Milwaukee Brewers. Meanwhile, 2,400 miles away, it's the road to Cooperstown as Randy Johnson becomes the first Diamondback to enter the Hall of Fame. And so we thought it would only be natural that we'd seek out a member of the original Arizona coaching staff, that being Glenn Sherlock, to get one of his favorite memories of the legendary lefty.
I think around the 7th inning, he started walking from the dugout down the third base line to the bullpen, and the place was going crazy. Yeah. And, you know, it was exciting for me. I'm like, this is awesome. You know, Randy's coming down here. And he walked right up, said, hey, you know, let me know. I haven't relieved much, but I do remember when he relieved against the Yankees in the playoffs in '95. Right. And sure enough, an inning later, you know, they call and say, let's get Randy going for Paul O'Neill, who I think was the 5th batter. And so he's going, and, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how he warms up. And the ball's just flying out of his hand. And he hears on the PA that they're pinch hitting David Justice for the pitcher spot. And he says, who's pinch hitting? I said, David Justice. And he immediately said, call down there, tell him I'm ready.
Glenn Sherlock was the bullpen coach when Randy Johnson helped lead the Diamondbacks to their first World Series, and perhaps a good omen here. Sherlock handing off the lineup card for today's game, setting the stage as it is the Hall of Fame weekend. Randy Johnson decking the halls in Cooperstown, and here in Phoenix, the fans came early for a Hall of Fame bobblehead, and now they're looking for some good baseball. First pitch, Diamondbacks Brewers awaits you. Stay with us.
We're at 500 on the year, 42-42. Since then, the Diamondbacks have lost 9 of their last 11 games to drop 7 below 500. And still looking for that victory that will galvanize the group and get things turned back toward level par for the year. Game 3 of 4 here against the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers, one of the better hitting ball clubs in the majors the last month or so, and they'll take their first crack tonight at your Arizona Ford starting pitcher. It's Ruby De La Rosa. Ruby coming off a win in his last start Monday here against the Marlins. His catcher tonight, Wellington Castillo. And we asked Welly what Ruby has to do tonight to be successful.
Just keep the ball down, work ahead on the hitter, on the count. So, you know, just don't let those hitters get in hitting account, because they're a really good fastball hitter, but he got really good fastball too. So, just kick his pitches down in the zone, and we will see.
Well, Ruby's been walking fewer batters than he did last year in Boston. He's striking out more batters. The problem lately has been the long ball. Only 3 pitchers in all of baseball have surrendered more home runs this year than Ruby De La Rosa.
Boy, a big crowd in the house tonight too. It's going to be warm in here. The ball's probably going to be jumping. It's vitally important for Ruby De La Rosa to keep that ball down.
Alan Porter is our plate umpire tonight. Gerardo Parra steps in to lead it off. On a Saturday night in downtown Phoenix, Parra's 6th in the National League at .319. He's got 9 home runs.
Ball one. He's been a nice fix for Craig Counsell in that leadoff spot. He's 11 for 22 batting in the leadoff spot with a triple, 2 doubles, and 3 home runs.
A former Diamondback back in town, a fan favorite here for a long time. 1-1. Parra has a pair of hits in the series. He's on a 7-game hitting streak and having a sensational month of July, just under .430. 11 extra base hits this month, including 4 home runs. One and two.
A lot of times about a pitcher we'll say he's thrown a lot better than his numbers indicate. I think in the last start for Ruby, he didn't throw as good as his numbers would indicate.
You're right, yeah.
He was all over the place, couldn't consistently find the strike zone, but at every moment he needed that big ground ball pitch, he was able to make it.
Well, Chip Hale says Ruby's stuff is electric, but those are things he's learning and maturing. Some pitchers take a little bit longer. And this young man at the age of 26 has stuff very high upside. It's just a matter of commanding it.
Yeah, the slider has been a little inconsistent for him. The changeup is his best swing and a miss pitch, but good velocity, mid to upper 90s with that fastball. Only a few pitchers in the National League throw harder than Ruby De La Rosa.
Parra waved at it and missed. It rolls a long way away from Castillo, and Parra is going to reach on the strikeout. Wellington not able to get a glove on that one.
Catcher number 20, Jonathan Lucroy.
So he placed his hand on his chest protector, saying it was his fault. Just didn't get over there and cover that tailing pitch off the plate away. Perhaps the swing of Gerardo Parra might have blocked his vision just a little bit, but you could see Welly indicating to Ruby De La Rosa, that one's on me.
So just like last time, runners on the bases early against Ruby De La Rosa. A pass ball charged to Castillo, and you can see with this 5-10 local start that ring of sunshine coming through the closed roof and panels here, creating a bit of a blind spot over there at first base and parts of right and right center field. Lucroy, 251 and 3 home runs. That's a strikeout for Parra. Safe at first on the pass ball.
There's little tips that Wellington Castillo occasionally will yell out to the mound to Ruby De La Rosa. That time you saw him tap the ball on his left shoulder. Ruby flew open a little bit. Most of the time when a pitcher flies open with that front shoulder, he lets the ball go a little bit too soon. It flies up and in. Oh, Welly, just a little reminder, tapping on his left shoulder, come right at the catcher.
Parra is 7 for 9 in his stolen base attempts this year. That's in there for a strike. 1-1. Ruby, as we mentioned, beat the Marlins here Monday. 7 innings, only a run on 5 hits, but he walked 5. But as Bob mentioned, got the ground ball outs when he needed them. He actually generated a season high 16 ground balls from the 27 batters he faced in that last start.
Well, you'll take those numbers every time.
His first win since June 19th. A ball and a strike to Jonathan Lucroy. Keeping the ball down, 1-2.
Right, just keep an eye on that radar gun tonight. That last pitch at 93 down there around the knees with a little bit of movement. Gets a swing and a miss from one of the better hitters in the game. Occasionally he tries to overthrow that ball. He can light up that radar gun, as Bert said, but you're not always sure exactly where that 98, 99 mile an hour fastball is going.
You talked about that last time Ruby was out there. 92 down, better than 98 up, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you can consistently throw that 93 down there at the bottom of the knees, that's what you're looking for.
Hey, downfield.
Lollipop throw over there to first. You can see the sun in Mark Ripperger's face right there, the first base umpire. Parra takes off, pitches inside for a ball, and Gerardo Parra is out of there. Wellington Castillo throws him out.
I thought Parra had a pretty good jump. Nice job by Wellington Castillo to unload that ball quickly, and a nice quick tag down there by Chris Owings as well.
Brian Honora, the crew chief down there, rings up Parra. The throw beat him easily. Great Counsell and the Brewers staff looking at it in their clubhouse. Counsell's up on the top step right now. Jerry Nair, the bench coach, on the phone. And they decided it's not worth it.
I think the call is correct down there, but once again, CO, don't go to the base runner, go to the base. That's where he's trying to get to. Just slap that glove right down in front of the bag and hold it there.
2-2 to Lucroy. Bouncer to second, Chris Owings. 2 down. The lineup for Craig Counsell's Milwaukee Brewers.
Gerardo Parra once again at the top tonight. He'll be out in left field. Jonathan Lucroy doing the catching. Ryan Braun with an opposite field homer in the ball game last night. He'll be out in right field. Adam Lind at first base. Carlos Gomez out in center field. Scooter Gennett at second base. Gene Segura at shortstop. Hernan Perez at third base. And Taylor Youngman on the mound.
Ryan Braun, 268 and 18 home runs. He has homered in each of the first 2 games of this series. Base hit off the mound and into center. 2-out single for Braun.
We talked about it throughout the first 2 games of this series. Gene Segura with 14 steals, and Ryan Braun, the man on at first base, with 14 steals, tied for the club lead. These are the 2 guys you really got to pay attention to. Wellington did a nice job of gunning down Gerardo Parra. He's going to need to be on his toes again.
A couple of pretty good hitters right there. Here's another one, Adam Lind. Shift is on for the Diamondbacks. Cliff Pennington, the shortstop, all by himself on the left-hand side. Ball 1. Adam Lind, 286 and 16 home runs. But he is 0 for 8 in the series. He struck out 3 times. Here goes Braun. Another throw from Castillo. And Braun's in there. Braun's 15th stolen base of the year. You were right, Bob. He was looking to go early in the count there.
Yeah, Ruby can be a little deliberate to home plate. This does get that foot on the bag, but as we know, yeah, with the replay, keep the tag on the runner. He bounces off the bag right there, but looked like he got his foot back on. That's one thing that's really changed for middle infielders. It used to be on a throw from the catcher, you just catch the ball and swipe tag in front of the base. You don't really worry about keeping a tag on him. Once he's on the bag, he's usually safe. But now with replay, very important to keep that tag on the runner. We've seen guys voluntarily jump up off the base after a stolen base or after advancing from first to third. So that part of the game has changed a little bit as far as tags at the bases go. Keep the tag on the guy until the play is completely over.
With Pennington in there at shortstop tonight, Nick Ahmed has the night off. Diamondbacks take the shift off now. 2-1 to Lind.
Talk a lot of times about big at bats, and you never know when they're going to fall in a ball game because we can't predict the future as much as we try. But this could be a big at bat in a ball game right here. Runner in scoring position. Got a tough left-handed hitter at the plate. Ruby's had problems with lefties this year. They've hit him to the tune of a .310 batting average, 16 homers, 18 doubles in 230 at bats.
3-1 is fouled off, and it's full 3 balls and 2 strikes. Take a look at the Diamondbacks defensively tonight.
Here's Peralta once again in left field. A.J. Pollock in center. Ender Inciarte over in right field. It'll be Lamb and Pennington on the left side of the infield with Chris Owings and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Wellington Castillo has been busy here in the top of the first behind the plate, and Ruby De La Rosa, the right-hander, on the mound.
2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Broad at second.
Yeah, the 16 homers that Ruby has allowed to left-handed hitters this year, the most in Major League Baseball allowed to a left-handed batters.
Carves this one high, foul ground, third base side, and Jake Lamb can't make the play. So Adam Lind gets a second chance.
We saw Jake tracking down a similar foul ball the other day, and he made the catch, but it was very similar to that. He overran it, had to backpedal a couple steps. This time he can't quite get to the spot.
That is an error on Jake Lamb, E5. Another 3-2 pitch to Adam Lind. And he got him. Ruby De La Rosa strands Braun at second base. We are underway on Randy Johnson bobblehead night here at Chase Field.
Be here on Saturday, August 8th for the
And last night we saw young Jimmy Nelson from the University of Alabama. Well, this is another young Brewers starter, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for Milwaukee. It's right-hander Taylor Youngman. He's a Texas Longhorn and off to an impressive start to his big league career. Here's Diamondbacks hitting coach Turner Ward.
We want to get this guy up in the zone and make him elevate. And the only way to do that is lay off some of those pitches earlier in the count. So, he's got good stuff. He has a curveball. He has a changeup also. But, he's got some crossfire. You'll see that tonight. What I mean by that is he steps across his body and kind of comes at the right-handed hitters at a different angle. So that probably helps his crossfire delivery.
And it's very unusual. He's 6 feet 6 inches tall, and he has gotten off to a tremendous start. Only 8 starts into his major league career. 5-1 with a 2.04 ERA.
Yeah, talking to his manager Craig Counsell yesterday, he said they're really surprised by the success that Taylor Youngman has had at the major league level, given the numbers that he was putting up in the minor leagues this year. He was 2-3 with an ERA of nearly 6.5. in 11 games at AAA Colorado Springs, which could explain some of those numbers.
The red-hot Ender Inciarte leads it off. 299 and 2 homers. Yeah, AAA for the Brewers last year was in Nashville.
Right.
But this year, Colorado Springs, and that's a whole different deal for a pitcher, right?
Apparently they wanted to punish some of those minor league pitchers.
Well, you'll notice the unusual delivery across his body at 6'6", as Turner Ward mentioned. But Jonathan Lucroy, who's back there tonight, has raved about catching this young man. Says it's a lot of fun. Ender shoots that fair down the left field line. Terry Finley doesn't touch it down there. And Ender, boy, this guy is on fire right now. It's a leadoff double. Ender Inciarte now 6 for 9 in the series with 3 doubles.
Boy, that is a vintage Ender Inciarte hit. Third baseman Perez drawn in to protect against a possible bunt. He just lets that ball get deep in the zone and shoots it right by him down that left field line. We saw so much of that from Ender in the early going this season.
He has now hit safely in 5 straight games, 6 of his last 7. He's in scoring position for A.J. Pollock. A.J. in the 2-hole tonight. Big weekend right now in Cooperstown, New York. A lot of Diamondback fans are there to watch Randy Johnson's speech tomorrow. You can come into the ballpark early. Don't forget, fans, gates here at Chase Field open at 11 tomorrow morning. So you can come in and watch Randy Johnson's Hall of Fame speech right here on our DBTV board before the Diamondbacks and Brewers series finale. A.J. ahead 2-0. 307 and 11 homers. Can't think of a better place other than Cooperstown to watch Randy Johnson's Hall of Fame speech than right here with us at Chase Field. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's fun about a baseball game. You come share it with those sitting around you, and you might as well come on out early tomorrow and check out RJ back in Cooperstown. I know we'll be here.
That's true. 2-0 to Pollock. And Taylor Youngman, because of that delivery, that crossfire action on the ball, Lucroy, the catcher, says, it makes it hard to square the ball up for either a right-handed or a left-handed hitter, and he compared him to the Angels' Jared Weaver. Now, Jared Weaver throws it about 84.
Yeah.
This guy can get it up to 94. But it's hard to square up. They got Ender hung up, and he is a dead duck down there.
The slap hit down the left field line, things we saw Ender do throughout the first half of the season. This is something we didn't see him do much of. The Diamondbacks have been aggressive on the bases all year, but recklessly aggressive recently.
It's 1-4 on the putout of Inciarte at second base, and a 2-1 count on Pollock. Three balls and a strike.
And Inciarte base hit only the 3rd hit allowed in the first inning of a Taylor Youngman start. Before the Inciarte at bat, opposing hitters were 2 for 25 in the first inning.
Ball 4. A.J. aboard for Goldie. The lineup for Chip Hale's Diamondbacks tonight in the Saturday Blacks.
Ender Inciarte in right field, A.J. Pollock in center field. Goldie making his way to the plate right now. He'll be at first base. David Peralta out in left. Wellington Castillo in his bad hamstring behind the plate. Jake Lamb down at third. Chris Owens at second. With Pennington at shortstop and Ruby De La Rosa on the mound.
And Goldie at the plate, leading the National League in batting average and RBIs.
Crazy first inning numbers.
Strike one. He also leads the majors in walks. He's already walked 4 times in this series.
Given this particular stat every night for the last 3 nights, so he might as well keep it rolling. Goldie in his last 6 games, first at bat of the ball game, double, walk, single, double, walk. I said it before, I'll say it again. If he wasn't the number 3 hitter, he'd be a great leadoff hitter.
Well, he's got 17 stolen bases too. Lucroy has to get way out there to stay in front of that one.
First look at the Youngman breaking ball right there. Big sweeping curveball. Bounced way over there in that left-handed batter's box.
Well, as Lucroy was saying, it's hard for hitters to square up the baseball with that crossfire delivery because the ball moves on an angle. So I guess there are times where it's probably hard to catch it as well.
Well, if anybody can catch it and make it look good, it's the guy behind the plate for the Brewers.
That was terrific. One and one to Goldie. AJ holding in first, 2 balls and a strike.
We've talked a lot about Dave McKay as we going to take a look at the delivery here before we talk about Dave McKay. Uses that 6'6" frame. You see where that stride is. That's a good 2 feet to the right of where Ruby De La Rosa is landing. Hence that crossfire action we heard Turner Ward talking about.
Big guy out there, just like Jimmy Nelson last night. Goldie drives it to right. Ryan Braun will play off the base of the wall. AJ's flying around third, and here he comes.
Turner Ward talk about that. Make him get the ball up. That's a belt high fastball out over the plate, and Goldie just crushed it off the base of the wall out there in right field.
Well, that thing took a trampoline hop on that wall back over Braun's head. He had to retrieve it. That gave AJ just enough time to sneak in there. A double and an RBI for Goldie takes third on the throw. And the infield will come in for the Brewers as David Peralta steps in. That's in the seats. It's 0-1. Peralta 273 and 9 home runs. Take a look at the hop that this takes off that wall over the head of Braun.
Now that's concrete down there at the base of that fence, and it hit off that concrete and ricocheted back over the head of Ryan Braun. A.J. Pollock is running hard from first base the whole way. A little bit of a dangerous send that time, but Pollock's speed made up for it, able to get around the tag.
Here's a look at that cement at the base of the wall. Looked like Braun expected it to just sort of die. Kind of a thud. Instead, he got the big hop.
That's why you have to be so aware of the conditions around you as a defender. You know, guys in the outfield have to deal with that fence. They have to know how wide the warning track is. If it hits in the chain link, the ball's more likely to drop straight down. If it happens to hit the padding, it'll probably drop straight down. But if it hits that concrete at the bottom, look out. I mean, you see catchers do it all the time. First game of a series, they walk around behind the backstop and throw balls off the different surfaces that we see behind home plate. And outfielders should do the same thing. Walk around that warning track, look at the angles, check the fences. A lot of ballparks have the out-of-town scoreboard on the fence and different surfaces there.
Nooks and crannies, too. 1-2 to Peralta. Called strike 3. Alan Porter gives Youngman the strike call, and that's the second out.
Catcher number 7.
Goldschmidt checking Ryan Braun out in right field. Picked up his third base coach Andy Green. He was watching what A.J. Pollock was doing on the bases, all the while moving forward. No surprise, Goldie ends up at third base when the play went to the plate.
So 2 down now. He's still at third for Wellington Castillo. A.J. Pollock barking at Hernan Perez, the Brewers' third baseman. The Diamondback dugout not happy with something going on down there. And Perez is hearing it from A.J. Pollock. Here is A.J. coming around third.
Oh, that's a no-no. Decoying like there was going to be a play.
Close to obstruction there. That's a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, I know that really upsets ball players. I kind of have an issue with it, though, because we see it at second base all the time. If the runner's in going from first to second, the ball's hit into play, we see middle infielders fake the double play to try to make the runner slide if the ball happens to be hit in the outfield. So a real fine line between what Perez did right there and what middle infielders do when they fake the double play.
1-2. A.J. still going.
Blocking the bag at third and then jumped out of the way at the last instant. I think the reason players get so upset about that is a tremendous opportunity for injury. I mean, you're running full speed, you're trying to pick up your third base coach, and out of the corner of your eye you see that third baseman getting down into a position like he's going to make a play.
I mean, you're kind of coming around the bag this hard, you're kind of defenseless, aren't you?
Oh yeah, and then once again, because of where your focus is, you're on your third base coach, you kind of pick up the third baseman out of the corner of your eye, and A.J. had to stutter his step just a little bit to get around Perez as he stepped out of the way at the last instant.
2-2 on Castillo as Youngman steps off. So that's kind of a tone setter here early in the ball game. File that one away. 2-2 pitch. Oh. There's another one. Right around the elbow somewhere. Ken Crenshaw, Chip Hale. Keep in mind, Castillo is already battling a left hamstring issue that kept him out the last couple of days.
Youngman has hit 5 guys in just over 50 innings. That crossfire delivery can really help with your deception, but occasionally if you don't finish the pitch, this is what happens.
That's going to bring Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, out to the mound.
Right on the elbow.
Well, he was a late scratch before Wednesday's game with Miami with that left hamstring tightness, although he did come up in the 9th inning and get a pinch hit single in that ball game. He was off Thursday, grounded out last night. So he's been gimpy as it is, and now to go along with that hammy, he's got a banged up left elbow. There's Ken Crenshaw, the head trainer. Diamondbacks already thin enough as it is on catchers.
Well, we know the right arm is very important for a catcher to throw runners out, but that left arm too. I mean, you think about it, reaching out there, receiving pitches, it kind of acts like a shock absorber, and if he's got any pain or swelling in that left elbow, it may be tough for him to catch the rest of the game.
We've seen Oscar Hernandez, the rookie Rule 5 pick the last couple of nights. They have Gerald Laird and Jared Saltalamacchia, the other catchers, both on the DL right now, along with Tuffy Gozowish, who's out for the year. Jake Lamb. So they're on the corners with 2 outs, 1 run in. And Inciarte pickoff play at second looming large. Lamb in there at 263 and 2 home runs.
I started to mention Dave McKay earlier. Taylor Youngman, first go around at the major league level. I'm sure Dave has watched a whole bunch of video on the big right-hander for the Brewers, but until you actually get out there in that first base coach's box, until you actually get in the batter's box as a hitter, that video only helps you so much. And we know Dave McKay, if there's something there to see, he will see it, but this probably his first look live at Taylor Youngman on the mound.
Well, Youngman has shown no signs of nerves. He pitched at Texas. He's a Longhorn. Was often playing in front of 10,000 people every night, he said. He's pitched in the College World Series, and he's been able to bear down and compete there and at this level as well. He said at Texas every game is huge, so he's used to this. Misses there, and it's 3-1. Chris Owings is on deck. He would be next. In either case, Youngman is really laboring here in the first. Base hit. There comes Goldie. It's 2-0 Diamondbacks. An RBI for Jake Lamb. Jake's first hit in the series.
Second baseman, number 16.
Right on that one. Quick swing. Base hit to the opposite field. Oh, you love putting pressure on Youngman like this in the first inning. He's not used to this. His batting average against him was only 80. 0-8-0 in the first inning of games. So this is uncharted territory for him.
2 on and 2 out, 2 runs in. It's Chris Owings. Seo looks at strike one. 231 and 3 home runs.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
You don't usually see A.J. Pollock upset like that. He's a pretty cool customer. He plays with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of fun energy, but you don't often see him angry like that. One and 2 on Owings. Youngman at 30 pitches now. That one up and in, and it's 2-2. He's already hit 1 batter in the inning. Guy, a first-round pick in the draft out of Texas 4 years ago, the 12th overall selection. Big things are expected, but he's having a long first inning. He's full now, 3-2 with Pennington on deck. 16 balls, 16 strikes. And now the runners. Castillo at second, Lamb at first will be off of the pitch. 3-2. Got him. Chased a high fastball and stranded 2, but the Diamondbacks get 2. Paul Goldschmidt starts it off. The RBI double. Jake Lamb, the RBI single to bring Goldie home, and it's 2-0 D-backs. Downtown Phoenix, Diamondbacks have given Ruby De La Rosa a 2-0 lead. He had 2 strikeouts in the first. And now he'll face Carlos Gomez to lead off the Milwaukee second. A check on Wellington Castillo, who took that pitch off the left elbow. And then Youngman almost hit Chris Owings with a pitch up and in as well. So Gomez leads off the second, 267 and 8 home runs. Gomez 1 for 7 with a double in the series. He has struck out 3 times. Falling behind in counts, 2-0 here. This is a guy, obviously, you want to keep off the bases with very good speed. Can't find the strike zone. 3-0. Wants a new ball. See if there's a strike in this one.
Long bottom half of the first inning, which most pitchers don't really mind too much as long as your team puts some runs on the board for you, but occasionally it does throw you out of your rhythm if you were in a rhythm.
A leadoff walk. Well, Ruby in his last start Monday against the Marlins was in trouble right away. Had the bases loaded, 1 out, but got out of it with a double play. And as we mentioned in our show open tonight, that's when he's really been at his best this year. We've seen Ruby pound away down with that hard 2-seam fastball and generate double plays when he needs them for quick, efficient outs, and he could use one right here. And Scooter Gennett steps in. Diamondbacks turn 4 double plays behind Ruby Monday. Gomez 7 stolen bases this year. He has been caught 5 times. He's been slowed by some injuries this season, so he's not quite as flashy on the bases as he has been earlier in his career. Alan Porter finally calls time. Scooter Gennett 264. He's got 4 home runs. Little guy up there, 5'10", 185, but he's a good hitter. Didn't even throw over there, and he's got Gomez diving back to the bag. Ruby having trouble throwing strikes here. 5 straight balls to open up the inning. Gennett fans that one 1-1.
That pitch right there has been a great equalizer for Ruby De La Rosa when he does fall behind in the count. 1-0, 2-0, 3-1. That straight changeup, his ability to throw it close enough to the strike zone to get swings and misses.
Diving down and away from the left-hand hitter. Goldie holding Gomez on the bag at first. Runner holds. Gennett knocks that into the seats, and it's 1-2. That's where number 51 will go August 8th. Tomorrow's the big day for Randy. The plaque goes up at Cooperstown, the speech and the whole thing. Ballpark will open early here tomorrow. Gates open at 11 in the morning. So you can get down here tomorrow and watch Randy's speech on our DBTV board. And then the series finale, Diamondbacks and the Brewers. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. That'll be the last home game for a while here. A long road trip coming up. We go to Seattle, Houston, and Washington, D.C. So we'll be gone about a week and a half or so. 95 right by him. Third strikeout for Ruby, one down. Just powered that one up.
Shortstop number 9, Gene Segura.
At that changeup, down and away, the fastball up and in. Gene Segura now. Segura 275 and 4 home runs. He is 0 for 7 in the series. So far he struck out 3 times and hit into a double play. He's had a quiet series, but a very good month, Gene Segura. Ruby ahead 0-1. Segura over 370 in July. 25 hits in 17 games this month.
With Segura and Perez down here at the bottom of this Brewers order. Last night we had Chris Davis hitting in the 7th spot. These are some aggressive swingers. They like to get their at-bats over with quickly as a general rule. Segura wants to hit that first or second pitch of every at-bat.
Keep it down and hope to get a double play ball here. There it is. Pennington. Owings, can they turn it? No! Segura, who runs really well, beats it out. Just what the Diamondbacks were hoping for, but it was a somewhat of a slow bouncer to Penny at short. And Segura is safe at first.
Yeah, Penny waited back maybe just a hair too long. That gave Gomez an extra step or two to get on top of Chris Owings down there at second base and disrupt this double play. You notice that time Chris jumped off the back of the base at second, tried to use the base as defense against that sliding runner, make him go right through the bag, and that time Gomez did.
Keep in mind, Gomez is the guy who about a week ago took out the Pirates' Jordy Mercer on something of a similar play. And Mercer had to be carted off the field. Here's Hernan Perez, the third baseman that had A.J. Pollock so upset. Two down, Segura at first.
For most managers, this is definitely a run situation. You got a guy on first that runs extremely well. I mentioned he's tied for the team lead in stolen bases. You've got your number 8 hitter at the plate. So even if Segura would happen to get thrown out, Craig Counsell would have a position player leading off next inning in front of his pitcher.
Segura, the stolen base was a big part of his game a couple of years ago. He stole 44 bags 2 years ago. Not half that much last season. This is inside. It's 1-0.
Of course, the risk you run into as a manager if Segura does steal the base successfully. Chip Hale could just go ahead and walk Perez and go after the pitcher. But most managers, especially early in the game, you'd like to have that pitcher leading off an inning if possible. Try to make it as easy as you can for your own starting pitcher. Get one quick out with that pitcher leading off.
There goes Segura. He takes off. The throw from Castillo is bounced through into center. Pennington there to back up. And Gene Segura has his 15th stolen base. So now you're behind on Perez 2-0. You could walk him and do just what you said there, BB. Work the Youngman.
Another quick release by Wellington Castillo. Unfortunately, it looked like he didn't have a great grip on the baseball. A tailing, bouncing throw into Chris Owings. You can see the ball got there way ahead of Segura, but CO just couldn't hang on.
Keep in mind, Perez in both of his first at-bats in the first 2 games of this series has doubled.
Well, if you felt offended enough by what he did to A.J. Pollock, this is a perfect opportunity to hit him right in the hip pocket. If you don't care if you walk him, you're already behind in the count 2-0. If you feel it's necessary to send a message that what Perez did was a little below the belt, this is an opportune time to do it.
Stars are aligned here. First base open, pitcher on deck. A 2-0 count. Inside but missed. It's 3-0. Perez has been a very good hitter for Milwaukee since they picked him up on waivers from the Tigers. Just under .330 in 38 games with Milwaukee this season. Segura at second, 2 down. 3-0 to Perez. There's a strike at 95. This is a guy who was 2 for 33 with the Tigers earlier this year. Detroit waived him beginning of last month, picked up by Milwaukee, and now he's pretty much the everyday guy at third base. They traded Aramis Ramirez to Pittsburgh on Thursday. 3-2.
Change up once again in those hitters counts. 2-0, 3-1. If you can throw that change up close to the zone, batters are geared fastball. They want to drive that ball. They'll jump out in front just like Perez did right there.
Change up breaking down and into the right hand hitter. You saw Jeanette up there, the lefty, broke down and away. It's a little roller to second. Owens is there. And Ruby pitches his way out of trouble. He's got a 2-0 lead. Hall of Famer Randy Johnson's number 51 jersey. You can join our celebration Saturday, August 8th and get this commemorative t-shirt courtesy of Fry's Food Stores. Get your tickets right now at dbacks.com. Defensive change for the Brewers. Adam Lind is out of the ball game. And Shane Peterson will take over at first base. We'll try and get word from the Brewers clubhouse about what's going on with Adam Lind. Cliff Pennington leads off the Diamondbacks second against Taylor Youngman. Penny 243 with 1 home run. Cliff had a pair of hits in Thursday's series opener against the Brewers. He started at second base. And they're at shortstop tonight. Big crowd here. Randy Johnson Hall of Fame bobbleheads handed out. They were lined up outside, Bob, of that heat, waiting for their big unit bobbles. Diamondback fans braving the elements on a hot summer afternoon here in the Valley.
They did open up the gates early here today. I mean, I think the Diamondbacks were well aware there was going to be a huge crowd to get the Randy Johnson bobblehead doll, and opened the gates a little bit earlier than normal, which was a great treat. This place was jammed for batting practice.
It was great. Crowd was into it. And Cole Hamels, who threw a no-hitter for the Phillies at Wrigley Field this afternoon. They showed the 9th inning live up on the DBTV board, and everybody was getting into it as Hamels made history. First no-hitter at Wrigley since Milt Pappas in 1972. Scooter Gennett. Now we're told that when he struck out against Ruby De La Rosa to end the first, he might have tweaked something right here. Take a look.
12, Ruby De La Rosa.
Yeah, didn't look real comfortable after that big hack.
Yeah, so he's out of the game, and Shane Peterson takes over at first. Here is Ruby.
A no-hitter for Cole Hamels today. The first time the Cubs have been no-hit since 1965 when Sandy Koufax did it.
And it ended, if you haven't seen it, on an amazing catch in center field. Odubel Herrera sprawled out on the warning track in dead center on a fly ball. A hanging curve hit by Chris Bryant. And Odubel, who made a great catch on the same warning track in the previous inning, on his belly caught that one to get the final out and preserve the no-no. It was something else.
He made it interesting, that's for sure.
And the players here were watching it, and it was fun to see their reactions because they showed it during batting practice. Here is the play. This is no-hitter, 2 outs, 9th inning. Watch Odubel Herrera right there. He's got it. And Cole Hamels has got the no-no. And if that was his last game as a Philly, it was quite a swan song.
Cole Hamels got more hits than he gave up today.
That's always a good thing if you're the pitcher. Ender Inciarte has had a bunch of hits lately. Doubled in the first inning. 6 for 9 in the series with 3 doubles. And some of the Brewers were taking batting practice with the Hamels no-no up on the DBTV board. And when Odubel made that catch, all the players, and it was like they were in the game. Watch Scooter Gennett, Adam Lind, and then Herrera makes the catch, and yes! It was a fun moment. Everybody, the whole crowd was into it.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable batting practice session this afternoon. And Youngman rings up Inciarte. Strike 3 call there from Alan Porter. Youngman has 4 strikeouts. Diamondbacks have a 2-0 lead.
Day in Major League Baseball history for this afternoon. We go back to July 25th, 1956. Roberto Clemente. How about this? Bases loaded. ninth inning, down by 3. Hits an inside the park grand slam for a 9-8 walk-off win. Can you imagine Forbes Field that afternoon?
Now, Forbes Field, did they have a giant outfield out there?
Yeah, big outfield, big brick wall in left. It was a monstrous ballpark.
And few players ran the bases with more abandon than Roberto Clemente, the great one.
When I read that, all I could think about was David Peralta, the runaway train. You know, when he hits a ball in the gap, how much fun it is to watch David run the bases. Well, Roberto Clemente probably set the mold for everybody being a runaway train on the bases. 10 inside the park home runs in his career.
Well, Ruby going after Taylor Youngman with hard fastballs here. He's ahead 0-2 to open up the third. Shoots it the other way, and Ciarte's got to play it first, but the pitcher running. Occasionally you'll catch the pitcher napping like that, and Ender was thinking he might have a shot.
Usually it's on a harder hit ball, but with Ender Inciarte's arm, charge that ball hard. If Youngman's not running hard down the first baseline, you may have a chance to get him at first. Well, props to Goldie to get back to the bag. I mean, most first basemen, once that ball gets through the infield, that's a single. Okay. Yeah, Goldie went back to the bag. He knows Ender Inciarte out there in right field likes to showcase that arm.
Well, here's Gerardo Parra. Been showcasing his bat all season long. One of the best hitters in baseball in the last 4 months. Struck out his first time up. Reached on a pass ball by Wellington Castillo. And he bangs that into right. A pair of Brewers singles lead off the third against Ruby De La Rosa. Boy, Parra just will not stop hitting. Since April 25th, Gerardo Parra is hitting .344.
Well, the pitch to Youngman was up. That one up over the plate. I was just thinking, Gerardo Parra, we're talking about Inciarte trying to throw guys out at first. Gerardo Parra woke up in the morning dreaming about throwing guys out at first base from right field.
CG try that all the time.
All the time.
Well, Ruby's in a little bit of a mess here. Still having fun with his former teammate there. He's cracking Goldie up. 2 on, nobody out for Lucroy, who grounded out his first time.
Make him real relaxed, Goldie. Let him take an extra step or two, and Wellington Castillo will try to pick him off.
Goldie playing behind the runner Parra. Youngman the pitcher at second, Parra at first. I mean, they're having a great old time down there. Parra doing most of the talking.
I was just thinking that.
That's usually the way it goes. It's just like the flights.
Goldie doing a lot of listening and laughing while Gerardo holds court over there at first base.
1-1. He is a lot of fun to hang around. And you were saying, boy, Craig Counsell, they're hoping that they can figure out a way to keep him, right? He's heading into free agency this winter.
He's been my favorite player this year. He said he just shows up every day with so much energy, so glad to be at the ballpark. It's just infectious with his teammates, and we saw that firsthand here in Arizona.
1-1 pitch. That's a strike, 1-2. Lucroy's got 4 hits in the series. He was 3 for 4 last night. Don't see a lot of catchers who bat second in the order. He's an unusual guy.
He handles the bat so well. I mean, he's got surprising power. He's not a big guy at all, but he's got surprising power. But he's willing to hit the ball from foul line to foul line. However you pitch him, wherever the holes are in the defense, that's where he's likely to go.
If they can turn 2, Pennington, Owings. They got him. Parra came in hard at second. And for the second time tonight, Chris Owings takes a tumble. First it was Gomez coming in hard, and now Gerardo Parra. Youngman's in at third, 2 down.
Right fielder Ryan Braun.
Nothing dirty about it. Fortunately, CO able to get his cleats up out of the dirt. That's usually a determining factor for that middle infielder. If you get your leg stuck in the ground and that sliding runner hits your front leg, there's a good chance for a knee injury, but it looked like Gerardo Parra might have gotten the worst of that one.
So the pitcher's at third, 2 down for Ryan Braun, who singled his first time up. Another double play turned behind Ruby De La Rosa. He had 4 behind him in his win over the Marlins here Monday. Two 2-0.
20 games here at Chase Field for Ryan Braun. Slugging .500. He's got 11 extra base hits, including 5 homers. He's driven in 17 runs in those 20 games.
There's a strike, 2-1. Ryan Braun, before his single in the first inning, his only hits in the series had been home runs. This one off Zach Godley Thursday. That's out to left center. And then last night he goes the other way. Oppo against Patrick Corbin. Numbers 17 and 18 on the year. That was Dominic Leone, correct myself, who gave up the Braun homer in the 9th inning on Thursday. 2-2 on Braun now. Nobody got a run across against Godley.
No. Well, this is probably the longest 4 days Zach Godley has ever spent in his life, waiting to get back out there again.
Meanwhile, they've been booing Braun here every year since 07. Called strike 3. Alan Porter rings him up. 4 strikeouts for Ruby De La Rosa. Might have got the benefit of a close call there. They strand the runner at third. It's still 2-0 Diamondbacks.
Milwaukee Brewers. Before we get started here, let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the ball game tonight. Back-to-back outstanding pitching performances by the starters for the D-backs. So for Ruby De La Rosa, follow the leader. And Paul Goldschmidt, a very disturbing trend. We talk about it all the time. Teams just choosing to take the bat out of his hands whenever possible. And today, David Peralta is the man responsible to hit behind Goldie. So we want to put the train on the track. The runaway train that is David Peralta, giving Goldie some protection in the lineup today. If David has a big game, there's a good chance Goldie's going to score a couple of runs. 0 for 18 after a Paul Goldschmidt intentional walk.
That has got to change. Ugh. A.J. Pollock leads off the third.
I mean, that's not even advanced metrics. You just look at that and say, man, something wrong with that 4 spot.
Remedial metrics are keys to the rest of the game. D-backs lead at 2-0. A.J. walked and scored his first time up. Ruby De La Rosa has pitched out of trouble so far. He's left a runner in scoring position in all 3 innings. Sky high left center. Gomez. It's 5 in a row set down by Taylor Youngman. 1 down in the third. Here's Goldie.
First baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
Well, Goldie with a 6-game hitting streak, during which his on-base percentage is over 600. He has walked 8 times during that 6-game streak, twice intentionally. And he's at .347 on the year to lead the National League.
About a week or so ago, we were talking about Goldie's splits and how his offensive numbers are much better in the first half of the season. A .316 hitter. He slugs .567 in the first half for his career. In the second half, they drop off a little bit, a .271 average, slugging .484. But he's off to a good start this year in the second half. In 8 games plus tonight, he's hitting .444. Power number's not really quite there right now, but I think that's more a byproduct of how teams are pitching Goldie than him losing his power. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Diamondback items available for sale at the team shop all over the ballpark. Youngman at 50 pitches, only 29 strikes.
I wonder if Goldie noticed that shirt that was in the front there. Chicks dig the long balls. Still looking for the first one in the second half here this year.
1 home run in his last 24 games. That was the Sunday before the All-Star break at Citi Field in New York. He's got another walk. So here comes the freight train. Let's get it on the tracks. Second walk issued by Taylor Youngman. Peralta struck out looking his first time up. He's 0 for 1. Back in the lineup last night after he was hit by Jose Fernandez in the head earlier this week. He was 1 for 3 with a single last night. That one went through the glove of Peterson, and Goldie's going to get second base. Shane Peterson in there for the injured Adam Lynn. Couldn't corral that one, and Goldie moves up. E3.
Just tipped off the end of the glove, goes into foul territory. Goldie took a moment there to recover before heading on to second base. But finds himself in scoring position for David Peralta.
Lucroy holds on. It's 0-1. Going to have to hustle, get back in there. Tell you what, the throws from these Brewers outfielders, it must drive Counsell crazy. That one almost got away.
We were talking about Parr when he was in right field trying to throw guys out at first base. He wants to throw everybody out all the time. No matter what base it is, who the base runner is, what the game situation is. got a strong arm, and I'm going to use it as much as I can.
Gomez airmailed one on Thursday that almost went into the stands. So 2 down. Goldie at second. Wellington Castillo was hit by a pitch right on that left elbow his first time up. Buckled that time, but it misses 1-0. Diamondbacks got a 2-out RBI hit in the first from Jake Lamb, looking for one more right here in the third. That's in there for a strike, 1-1. Brewers come into tonight 11 under 500, 19.5 games behind the Cardinals in the NL Central, and in last place in their division. Despite that, they played very good baseball over the last month. In fact, since June 23rd, Milwaukee is 18-8. Only the Angels have a better record in the majors over that span. Greg Counsell, the new skipper, took over for Ron Renicky, who was let go back in May. Castillo, 9 of his last 18 with runners in scoring position, but he waves at that one. 5 strikeouts for Youngman, and they strand Goldie at second base. Through 3, it's 2-0 D-backs.
Earlier this homestand, late in games, and even during this game, we've been talking about the Diamondbacks having to be very strategic managing Castillo with that hamstring tightness and rookie Oscar Hernandez because they have no other options behind the plate. Well, fast forward to this next road trip, and reinforcements are on the way. Jared Saltalamacchia will be available to come off the disabled list after battling a sore neck on the 28th. And Chip confirmed the team will carry 3 catchers, in part to the unique situation with Rule 5 regulations concerning Oscar. I talked at length with Chip about navigating this tough balance of trying to bring along and develop a young catcher you believe in, but also having to keep him on the big league roster for 90 days versus giving him those consecutive days of action in the minors to develop. Chip said they don't want to stunt Oscar's development, but of course they had to be very careful in how they utilize him because they have 2 very capable, experienced catchers in Salty and Wellington. But they will make an effort to give Oscar a start at least once a week. And this week, to say the least, has been invaluable for Oscar, getting a chance to step up there, boost his confidence, and also help with his trust in this pitching staff.
Shane Peterson leads off the 4th. In there for the injured Adam Lynn. A lot of catchers down there, not too many of them healthy, though. Keeping Ryan DePanflo and Ken Crenshaw busy.
a big fan of a lot of catchers on the roster.
Oh, well.
But, one of the issues you run into carrying 3, obviously, is how do you split up the playing time as Peterson goes down on strikes. And, the fact that Saltalamacchia can only probably play first base other than catch. Same thing for Wellington Castillo. I don't know if Oscar Hernandez can play another position, so you're kind of hamstrung there, not to make a pun, but you got 3 guys that are catchers only.
Carlos Gomez walked his first time.
Boy, it is really tough to get a ball through the left side of the Diamondbacks infield, especially when Nick Ahmed is in there at shortstop alongside Jake Lamb. Very tough to drive a ball through that left side. Great diving stop once again. Jake quickly to his feet, throws a strike to Goldie. Yeah, you bet he appreciates it.
Another ground ball out for Ruby. 2 down. Here's Scooter Gennett, who struck out his first time. Yanks that one foul. Gennett 1 for 6 in the series so far.
Almost a hit or be hit. That ball is shoulder high inside corner of the plate. That's about the only place you can hit that ball.
Well, Ruby had good success against Gennett the first time he was up there with some fastballs up and in. That one down and away at 97. 0-2 now. And Gennett's another one of these Brewers that's had a big month. He's hitting nearly 380 in July. He was in the minor leagues at one point earlier this year. Gennett was at 207 April 19th. How about this? He had an accident in the shower at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. He cut his hand in there, went on the DL, missed 2 weeks. Said he was reaching for some of that body wash. Have those metal racks that hold that stuff, the shampoo, and just sliced his hand open on that thing. And then when he came back, struggled. And finally in May, they said, you got to go to the minor leagues. So he did. He went to AAA Colorado Springs, hit over 300 there in 17 games, and he's done nothing but hit since he's been back up here. With Pennington. Another ground ball out for Ruby De La Rosa. He's got a 2-0 lead. to you in part by Oregano's Pizza Bistro, your neighborhood pizza joint. We are athletic supporters. By Card Power from Arizona Federal Credit Union. Now that's the power of us. And by Hayward Pool Products. For crystal clear pool water, choose the world's best-selling salt fluorination system, AquaRain. The CBO, Tony La Russa, the big unit, Randy Johnson. Looks like a glorious weekend in Cooperstown, New York. They had the Hall of Fame parade today. These are pictures from earlier today from Cooperstown, and Randy really enjoying himself. The speeches are tomorrow as Jake Lamb leads off the fourth. A lot of D-back purple and Sedona red in those crowds. And Pedro, by all accounts, is just an absolute rock star over there. He is really having fun. Going in with Randy Johnson, John Smoltz, Craig Biggio. A whole Diamondback contingent there as well. Tony La Russa, the chief baseball officer. President and CEO Derek Hall is there.
Todd Walsh is there.
Yeah, Todd's there. They got there a few days ago. I mean, look at Pedro's jacket. How about this? This is wow. He is really enjoying himself. That's great. Waka waka. Base hit for Jake. He's 2 for 2. Boy, they can get this bat going. That's a game changer. I mean, it's been 36 games for Jake since he came back from the DL, and he's hit .228.
Second baseman, Chris Williams.
He just got too good of a swing, too good of an eye for the strike zone to continue to struggle the way he was. I think it was just a matter of, we talk about Patrick Corbin getting back into baseball shape and building up that arm strength and the endurance. I think the same thing was true for Jake Lamb.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get that rhythm back at the plate.
Chris Owings struck out his first time. Well, Chip Hale said when Jake came off the DL from that foot injury, after missing all that time, he missed 42 games, that they figured that he might have to take his lumps for a little bit up there. And so the coaches finally resolved themselves, and you'll notice that, he's pretty much been in there every day. And they resolved themselves to, look, let's just let him go through it, even though he's not going to produce like we all know he will, just to get through that reacclimation process. So they've let him go, as Chip put it, and maybe he's starting to turn it around up there.
Yeah, it's reassuring to the player to know that they have that kind of confidence in him, that they feel that even though it's been a little bit of a rough patch here in the second half of the season, they've got confidence that he'll continue to swing the bat well and find his way out of this slump and start to be that run producer in the middle of the lineup they expect him to be.
And they did, Bob, that exact same thing with Nick Ahmed for the first 6 weeks of the season. Nick was hitting $130 in the middle of May, but Nick was still out there every day at shortstop. Developing young players here. I guess that's part of the process, right?
Oh, yeah. Have to take the bad with the good.
We'll play ball here. Segura to that, and they turn it. Two down now for Cliff Pennington. Cliff grounded out his first time up. Had a couple of hits in Thursday's series opener. Youngman spiked a few down there in this inning. He is a contact guy for the most part, he says, Taylor Youngman. Pretty aggressive. He'll pound the strike zone, let his defense work. You won't see big strikeout totals, but he does go pretty deep into ball games, so that first inning was really unusual for him. The pitch count is higher than it normally is. And he has gone at least 6 innings in 6 of his first 8 big league starts, and he's gone 7 innings or longer 4 times. He has, for the most part this year, been very efficient with his strikes out there. Does not waste a whole lot of pitches. And he's behind on Penny, 3-0. Ruby's on deck.
We come back to that crossfire action for Youngman out there on the mound, and there's some evidence right there. The hole in front of the rubber on the far left, that's where Youngman lands with his left foot. Not only that, but look at the drag mark right off the third base side of the rubber, straight toward foul territory. Everything coming across his body. Very tough for hitters to pick it up.
And a big wingspan out there at 6'6" tall. 3-2 now. Youngman has won his last 3 starts. He's been outstanding each time, in fact. A 3-hit complete game just 2 starts ago at Dodger Stadium. Prior to that, he went 8 innings, gave up only 4 hits, and a win at Cincinnati. Beat the Pirates at Miller Park on Sunday, 7 innings for his 3rd straight win.
Lemonade like grandma makes. Woo! Regular strawberry to raspberry. $5.50. Can you pass this down? No tequila.
They've had a request for some tequila up there.
Should have been there last night. It was National Tequila Day.
A day late and $1 short. Or in this case, $5.50 short. Yeah. 3-2 to Pennington. Bounce to Segura. We are through 4, 2-0 Diamondbacks. Could use some lemonade in here. Forward after the final out of the D-backs and Reds game. Welcome back, former D-back greats Jay Bell, Orlando Hudson, Travis Lee, Reggie Sanders. More of your favorites. It's our 4th annual alumni exhibition game. To check out a full list of the players who will be there, visit dbacks.com/alumni. It's always a big day for Bob Brenly, my partner. And but you're already packing them in.
Oh man,
how about that?
That's a very creative sign. Nicely done.
You spelled your name right and everything.
I like it. I have at least 2 fans.
Automatic for the people. Ruby De La Rosa's retired 5 in a row. Gene Segura leads off the 5th.
Is that an REM reference?
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to get that one by.
We'll see a lot of number 51s around the ballpark tomorrow and again on August 8th. I mean, we see a lot of number 51s every night, but it's going to be crazy tomorrow.
Randy Johnson bobblehead night here tonight. First 25,000 fans with us. Got their Hall of Fame bobblehead. Courtesy of Fry's Food Stores. And this is a This is one of the best bobbles you'll see. It's got the official Hall of Fame logo. He's holding his Hall of Fame plaque there in the back there. Thank you very much. You can see the resume for the big unit. This is a really well designed bobblehead. The old school colors going. I'm trying to figure out who Randy looks like though in the bobblehead. I hesitate to say it, but it looks a little like you.
Well, those molds aren't cheap, you know. If you have two guys that look remotely similar, you just run the same head out there.
Roby's got it. I mean, this could just be me, Mitch Regan. Let's take a look. I think it kind of looks like you.
Tell you, the difference is on the backside, the mullet. See, I got none of that. I wish I did.
I mean, yeah, that could be you. That's a young Bob Brenly, right out of Coshocton.
Yeah. Randy's insulted.
How about the plaque? Look at the detail on that plaque.
Tremendous. One of the best bobblehead dolls I've ever seen.
Hernan Perez. He grounded out his first time. I got Ruby at 8 ground ball outs, I think, so far through 4 to 3rd. That's just what you're looking for. Yeah, there it is. 5 strikeouts, 8 ground outs, nothing in the air. That's take that blueprint right there.
Absolutely.
Run it.
But keep in mind, Wellington Castillo was drilled on the left elbow earlier in the ball game, and look what he has to do here. Reach across his body, fully extend that left arm out there and try to catch that 97-mile-an-hour wild pitch to be. Can't feel good.
Already battling that left hamstring strain. Some tightness back there. Now the elbow's barking. Is aboard. He's 6. The error on Pennington. That's the second D-back error tonight.
You know, it's kind of refreshing to see a guy not immediately point over to his own dugout. I mean, Goldie knew he didn't apply the tag right there, so why put on an act? Why make a big deal out of it? You knew you didn't get the guy. Let's keep playing baseball. Just does miss.
That's really close. He almost did get him. So now the corners will come in with the pitcher Taylor Youngman coming up. Jake Lamb well in on the grass at 3rd. Goldie holding Perez on the bag at 1st. Youngman gets the bunt down. It's a good one. Ruby's on it. Owens covers and Perez moves up.
Number 5 on the season for Youngman. He's handled that bat pretty well when asked to put down a bunt. Not so much when trying to hit.
There's the Randy bobblehead in front of the Randy big head. How about that? Small heads and big heads. Dude. Gerardo Parra. Perez at 2nd, 2 outs. Parra has struck out and singled. He's 1 for 2. So he's got an 8-game hitting streak. Mentioned that since April 25th. So I mean that's a long time. A little conversation here with Alan Porter. Since April 25th, Parra is hitting over 340 and crushing the ball in July. And somebody asked Craig Counsell, you know, why has Parra been so good? Well, He said, look, he's a good player. He's having a good year. You don't need any explanation. But he's at levels now that he's never seen before, all across the board. The on base, the slugging, the OPS, the doubles, everything. '97 just does get a piece. It's 0-2.
97, and Parr was right on that one. He was very frustrated with himself. He didn't do more with that pitch, but he had that bat head out there in front of the plate. Fouled that one straight back.
Counsel said Parr's best trait, he's able to do everything. That's a pretty good trait. Can play all 3 outfield spots. Good defense everywhere. You can put him anywhere in the lineup. He might not always be the perfect fit, but he can do everything you need him to do.
Yeah, really the only consistent weakness was his judgment on the base paths. Occasionally left a little to be desired. Usually errors of aggression, but yeah, he's got the whole game. Everything you need. Whether it's as a starting outfielder, part of your lineup, in the Brewers' case, the leadoff hitter, or as a 4th outfielder, a guy that you bring in there for defense as a left-handed bat off the bench. He'd be valuable to a lot of teams.
Well, he will be 29 years old, Gerardo Parra, when he hits the open market next season. A free agent for the first time. He's just over $6 million this year for the Brewers, and he's going to make himself some money once this season ends. And he's been the engine when they win. So Castillo and Ruby get together. 2 outs. It's 0-2 on Parra. A tapper in the hole. Lamb in front of Pennington. He's got no play. And they're on the corners. Boy, Jake really had to range almost over to second base to get that one. It was hit very slowly in the hole, and the Brewers have a threat here.
We've talked about this several times throughout the course of the season. Third baseman takes anything they can get moving to their left. Yeah, Jake Lamb got to the ball in good position, but when he meant to make the exchange into the throwing hand, just didn't find the handle on the baseball. It pops out of his glove.
That's the 2nd error on Jake Lamb tonight, and the 3rd in the ball game for the Diamondbacks. It puts Perez at 3rd, Parra at 1st, 2 down for Lucroy, who's 0 for 2.
That's a tough error right there. Parra busting it down that first baseline out of the left-handed batter's box. A slowly hit chopper to the left side. I mean, everything had to be absolutely perfect to get Parra that time. That's a tough error.
We'll see if Ruby can pick up his defenders. They've done such a good job this year of playing extremely well behind him. 2 errors in this inning. One by Pennington, one by Lamb. And De La Rosa will work to Lucroy with Braun on deck. Up the middle, Pennington behind the bag, shovel pass, and they get the force on Parra. And there's another big ground ball out for Ruby De La Rosa. Before the ball game lined up to get the big unit bobbles, it's 2-0 Diamondbacks. introduce to you. New from Pepsi, it's Pepsi Limon, made with 2% real lime juice. It's got a little bit of lime and a whole lot of flavor. Pick up yours today. Pepsi Limon, now available at your local retailer. Bottom 5 here. D-backs lead the Brewers 2-0. And Ruby De La Rosa leads it off against Taylor Youngman. Ruby struck out his first time up. Taylor Youngman making just his 9th career big league start. That lizard skin going on that bat handle. One and two.
I don't know how the representatives from that particular bat rack feel about pitchers using it.
That's a good point.
It's good exposure, but come on.
Reaches out and rolls it to Peterson. Youngman over there to cover, one away. Yeah, the name of that company is Lizard Skins. Got the Durasoft polymer back grip. Softball players like to use it a lot. Ender and Ciarte.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. A day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price. Online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Great Council fans, as always. Dancing in the aisles here at Chase Field. Big crowd here, nearly 35,000 with this. Ender drives that to Parra. 2 down. Brings up A.J. Pollock.
Center field. A.J. Pollock.
A.J. walked and scored in the first. He flied out his last time up. He sat safely in 4 straight games, 7 of his last 8. Half of those have been multi-hit games. He's having a big month at the plate. Misses again. He's behind 2-0. Like this here. Hitters count. 2 outs. Goldie on deck. Get something right here. Missed up and in. 3-0.
This is a very comfortable cradle for A.J. Pollock or any hitter who happens to be in front of Paul Goldschmidt in this lineup, especially once the count swings in your favor. That pitcher is more and more likely to throw hittable fastballs.
This down and away. A 4-pitch walk to Pollock, who walks for the 2nd time tonight. Here comes Goldie.
And before Goldie takes his hacks, let's take a look at our cold hard facts, brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Highest batting average in a career against the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, Goldie right at the top of that list. The .432 batting average. Like to improve upon that right here.
An RBI double. He scored a run in the first. He walked his last time up. Pollock at first, 2 outs. In the air along the right field line. Ryan Braun gives it a look, but it's in the seats. Mentioning Goldie's really picked up the pace here lately. His batting average for July was in the 240s not too long ago, but now over 300 this month. And counting tonight, 9 RBIs in 19 games. Buckled on that one, dropped it in for a strike, and Goldie's down 0-2.
Yeah, that pitch has really improved for Youngman since the first couple innings of the ball game. He couldn't get that big curveball in the strike zone, kept pulling it over in that left-handed batter's box or leaving it way up in the zone. But as the pitch count has creeped up there, the curveball has come back to him a little bit.
What are the odds he gets it back full 3-2? We've seen that so many times.
Yeah, he's done it a bunch of times.
There goes AJ. The throw from Lucroy is not in time. 22nd stolen base of the year for AJ Pollock.
Off and running before Youngman even moved out there on the mound again. We mentioned it earlier in the ball game. You give Dave McKay enough time over there at first base, he will find something in that delivery to help that base runner steal a bag.
The best in the business down there. And he's back even 2-2. You can see this coming. Got first base open now. Peralta on deck.
31 times this season Goldie has gone from an 0-2 or a 1-2 count to full.
It's remarkable, isn't it? Make it 32. Called it. It's incredible, his plate discipline. He will not chase pitches out of the zone.
I mean, we say, a pitcher's in charge. He's ahead 0-2. He's ahead 1-2. Goldie's drawn 13 walks when the pitcher has been ahead 0-2 or 1-2.
Got him on that pitch down in the dirt. Lucroy completes the strikeout. They strand Pollock through 5. It's 2-0 Diamondbacks. Leading Yankees take on the Rangers in a game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. Coverage begins at 5 o'clock Pacific time on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. A big weekend at Cooperstown, a big weekend here in downtown Phoenix. Randy Johnson, the first Diamondback into the Hall of Fame. D-backs working on tacos and a win. They lead it 2-0 as Ryan Braun leads off the 6th inning against Ruby De La Rosa. Braun has singled and struck out 1 for 2. D-backs have not been able to get a whole lot of offense in support of Ruby. They've got just 1 base hit since the first inning. Reaches down and lifts it in the air toward the right field corner in Ciarte. He's got room in foul ground. here in the 6th. Well, Ruby has really taken to Chase Field. This is not necessarily a pitcher's ballpark, but by any stretch. But his record at home this year in 10 starts is 5-1. He's gone 2-4 on the road, and has allowed more home runs away from Chase Field than he has here in his home park. Shane Peterson. Peterson checked in early in the ball game. Adam Lind had to leave after his first at bat. Tweaked something in his back, so Peterson's in there. He has appeared twice in the series so far, but only as a pinch hitter. Grounded out and walked. Adam Lind, lower back tightness, said the Brewers, so he's a scratch after the first. Peterson was hitting .320 with 7 homers at AAA Colorado Springs when they called him up. Originally drafted by the Cardinals in 08 out of Cal State Long Beach. 3-1. This guy was a second-round pick by St. Louis in the draft. Hasn't done a whole lot. His only other big league experience prior to this year was 7 at-bats with Oakland 2 years ago. And Tapper Ruby's under it. Hale's just taken himself 2 down. .80 pitches, 55 strikes, a lot of ground ball outs, and no runs. He has been right on top of his game here tonight. Brewers have only 3 hits, all singles.
And only 1 base on balls in the game. That was leading off the second inning by Carlos Gomez.
And here is Carlos Gomez. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts for Ruby. Hit hard, but pole foul. Big guy Terry Finley down there, our Golden Glover. Out to right. Cincinnati will play it on the hop, and Gomez has a 2-out single. Just the 4th hit for the Brewers.
Second baseman Scooter Gennett.
Brings up Scooter Gennett.
So Ender trying to throw out Taylor Youngman at first base on a base hit into right field. Probably would have had a better chance to get Carlos Gomez. He wasn't exactly busting it down that first baseline.
Gomez has been slowed this year by some leg injuries. He had a 15-game stint on the DL in April. He's had a hamstring this year. He's had a hip. The speed game, which has always been a big weapon for him, not really been there at all this year. So he's hobbled a bit. But he's an interesting guy. You never know when he's going to go off the rails on you, Carlos Gomez. But seems to have really enjoyed his time in Milwaukee. He used to be a pretty frustrating player when he was with the Mets and the Twins. Had his moments. I mean, he's the guy that when he got a $28 million deal to stay in Milwaukee, he felt he needed to fit in with a better crowd, so he Googled rich people conversations. You know, so he'd have something to talk about with the other millionaires. I mean, that's really forward thinking.
And he's a guy that throughout most of his career has found ways to rub people the wrong way in the other dugout, but he's even calmed that down considerably this year.
Yeah. Holds at first, and Ruby misses. Cliff Pennington and Carlos Gomez doing the hokey pokey out there. Look, I got you.
I see you.
Come on down, I'll put the tag on you. A fly ball to center. A.J. Pollock. And Ruby strands the 2-out single. 6 scoreless innings. He's got a 2-0 lead. Here's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Peralta, Castillo, and Lamb. Jake so far 2 for 2.
Take pride in being aggressive on the base pass, but what you might not know is that being a threat on base isn't always about speed. Chip Hale broke it down, saying it extends beyond how fast a guy is and more about how he runs the bases, how big of a lead he's comfortable with, his sense for timing when to take that jump and when not to. He explained guys like A.J. Pollock, Chris Owens, Nick Ahmed, they're successful in base pass because, plain and simple, they've got guts, and when you're gutsy out there, that tends to be when you get the job done.
David Peralta leads off the 6th. See if we can get some base runners here. Diamondbacks have had only 1 hit since the 1st inning. That was Jake Lamb's single to lead off the 4th. David is 0 for 2. They've had some base runners. A walk to Pollock in the 5th. A walk to Goldie in the 3rd. The Lamb single in the 4th. That's pretty much been it. That rocky 1st inning did not faze Tyler Young, but he's done a good job ever since. Just his 9th major league start. Eight starts in, 5-1, a 2.04 ERA coming in. He's at 92 pitches, and once again going deep into a ball game for Craig Counsell. He's done this all year. I mean, his major league debut June 9th, he won at Pittsburgh and pitched 7 innings of 3-hit ball. And is 4-0 over his last 6 starts. During that stretch, he's pitched to an ERA under 2. So he's been really good lately. It's a pretty impressive start to the career. And he's got his 7th strikeout. He gets Peralta looking for the 2nd time tonight. And he spotted that one. Alan Porter rings him up.
Catcher, Wellington Castillo.
downhill plane from that 6'6" frame, that crossfire action, stepping over to the third base side of the mound and throwing back against his own body. Not a big time strikeout pitcher. You mentioned it earlier. He'll get his share of strikeouts, but it's not like he's just out there blowing people away. He, much like Ruby De La Rosa, is better when he's pitching to low contact. There's that curveball that suddenly has become a really good weapon for him.
Yeah, this is a guy that Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher back there, says is ace material for sure. 12th overall pick in the draft 4 years ago. There's another strike.
Doubled up on that curveball.
Remember, he hit Castillo on that left elbow back in the first inning when he threw more than 30 pitches. Gave up 2 runs on 3 hits. Given up just 1 hit since. He's getting up to 100 pitches or so the bullpen will get busy. Corey Knebel throwing from Milwaukee. Two and two.
Got him again, that time with a 73-mile-per-hour curveball, just kind of hung up on the inside of the part of the plate, didn't take the break. Well, Youngman really taking a lot of time between pitches now, flexing that right arm, squeezing his right hand, starting to show those signs that physically maybe he's hit the wall out there.
Pitch number 100 on the way. He yanked it. His 4th walk, a 1-out base runner for Jake Lamb, who's 2 for 2.
Yeah, we saw Wellington Castillo get plunked on the elbow early in the ball game. This is for the youngsters out there. Watch how Wellington turns into the pitch actually. Opens up his front side, exposes that elbow, exposes the hand. Now Chris Owings later in the ball game had a pitch up and in very similar, and watch how Chris gets out of the way. Turn away from the ball. Valuable lesson for young hitters out there. Too many guys really open up and think they're fast enough to get out of the way of that inside pitch. You're going to get hurt. You're going to take it in the hand, on the wrist, or in the case of Wellington Castillo, on the elbow. Always try to turn away from the pitch.
So backward as opposed to forward.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, and you like to think that over the course of time you learn that in your at-bats in high school or college or the minor leagues. You realize that it's much easier to get out of the way and much safer to get out of the way turning away from the pitch rather than into it.
Jake Lamb 2 for 2, including an RBI single. His first 2 hits in the series.
Well, we were talking about Jake's development and how the Diamondbacks just put him in there and kind of let him take his lumps there for a little while, and that's all part of the development of a young player. You think back to Paul Goldschmidt's first go-round at the major league level. From August 1st until the end of the season back in 2011, Goldie hit .250. Slugged .474. He struck out 53 times in 156 at-bats. But
wow, 1 out of every 3 times.
Yeah, I think, even then the Diamondbacks recognize this is a guy we can build around. It might not always be pretty, but he's going to learn from his experiences. He's going to learn from his mistakes, and he's going to be a good hitter moving forward. And I think D-backs feel the same way about Jake Lamb.
Oh, sure. I mean, for the first 2 weeks of the season, he was the Diamondbacks' best hitter before the foot injury. He was the guy in the lineup, just crushing everything. GM Dave Stewart here. 3-1 on Jake. Flare out to short left center. Power calling off Gomez. He's got it. 2 down. Hey fans, now's the time. Tweet us your best fan photo. Just remember, use the hashtag AZDataStrongFan. That's AZDataStrongFan. And if Leo Gilmartin's in a generous mood, if the Brenly committee is, maybe not paying close attention, you might get your photo on TV. Brought to you by T-Mobile.
There's a real good chance of that.
There's Chris Owings. He has struck out and hit into a double play, 0 for 2. I would hope the photo tonight would have some kind of Randy Johnson theme to it.
I'm hoping myself.
I know. I mean, you have to delegate. You can't do everything. That's why Leo's involved.
Absolutely.
So hopefully the committee is up to snuff here.
Because Leo, as we both know, has plenty of time on his hands.
Yeah, he's got nothing to do.
You know who he should get involved is Jeff Munn.
Moneyball. I like that.
Yeah. I know he spends a lot of his day doing research.
That's what he says. Fly ball out to left. An easy play for Powell. And they strand the 1-out walk. So Jeff Munn is officially inducted on induction weekend. Congratulations. You've been adopted by the Brenly Committee. It's 2-0 Diamondbacks.
Growing up together and playing as young kids, and I think that Ruby really respects him and listens to him, and he has the ability to kind of calm him down in those tough situations. Yeah, I think he's helped him a lot. He's with him on the bench, and he gives him suggestions and mentor, does a nice job with that stuff.
Chip Hale talking about Wellington Castillo and Ruby De La Rosa. These two once actually played on the same Little League team in the Dominican Republic. But Castillo was an infielder then, not a catcher. And now here they are playing together in the big leagues. And Bob, as you often joke, he's at times this year been the Ruby whisperer, the guy that can get through to him out there.
Yeah, and there's not always an easy explanation for how that happens. Sometimes it's the fact that the pitcher's more comfortable throwing to a particular catcher, or the catcher happens to land on the right fingers more often than the other guy. But for whatever reason, these two are very quickly developing a good relationship, and Wellington seems to be able to get the best out of Ruby.
Ruby says they know each other a little bit, and that's something that he says he enjoys. Because Wellington is always, and when you meet and talk with Welly, we always see him smiling and joking down there. Because he's a very positive guy. He's encouraging. He gets on him, but in a positive way, and Ruby responds to that. High hop to Pennington. Throws out Segura, 1 down. Ruby into the 7th here with a 2-0 lead. Working on a 4-hit shutout. Brings up Hernan Perez. Looks like Youngman is done now that he's over 100 pitches. Gomez is the on-deck circle. Hector Gomez.
Oh, nice play. Had a good view of that one. That gentleman came sprinting down the aisle right to the front row and made a catch. Watch this.
What kind of hat is that, though? This could be contract worthy. Chicago Bears.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, you got to respect the physical ability to run down the aisle and make the catch, all the while holding a spoon in your right hand. Somewhere there's a dropped ice cream cup.
Oh, he's sharing. There you go.
There you go. That's good reactions. Jumped up out of his seat, sprinted down there to the edge of the rail. That's why you bring your glove to the ballpark. We highly recommend when you come out here to Chase Field, hey, bring your leather. You never know. And a spoon.
That's right. Keep one hand free. It is the Dennis Lamb flying ice cream safe zone. I feel like Dennis is over there on the phone. He doesn't even know that we're talking about him right now.
Give him a minute. He'll drop
Look,
it.
Dennis is over there with his feet up, talking on the cell phone. I mean, we're broadcasting here. Ruby De La Rosa going to let that go fair and picks it up, gets the out. I don't want to disrupt Dennis. I hope that's an important call.
Shoes off.
Look at this. He doesn't even have his shoes on. Look, he has no clue. No clue at all. Kurt, can you tell him he's on TV?
Pinch hitting for Tampa Gumman, number 5, Hector Gomez.
Dennis just realized that he's on camera.
Busted.
Yep, Hector Gomez now. Nice play by Ruby to throw out Perez, and here's Gomez. 2 for 18 as a pinch hitter this year, 193 on the year. Gomez 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts in the series. Got the start at second base last night. Gomez 3 for his last 27 at the plate. So far, Ruby has given up just 4 hits, all singles. He's walked 1. He's got 5 strikeouts.
Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 20 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game. Dickas.
The guy just had a Bears hat on. How about that? There's a strike, 3-1. Him up on throw. Ruby, a 1-2-3-7. We stretch at Chase Field. Ruby De La Rosa working on a 4-hit shutout. Arizona is brought to you in part by your Valley Honda dealer, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers. Beautiful day in Cooperstown, New York. A lot of Diamondback fans there this weekend for induction weekend into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The parade today, the speeches tomorrow. As the big unit, Randy Johnson, goes in, the first Diamondback cap on a plaque in the Hall of Fame. Bottom 7 here at Chase Field. Michael Blazek, the right-hander, with a 1.89 ERA, is on in relief of Taylor Youngman, who pitched well after a bumpy first inning. Youngman gave up only 2 runs on 4 hits. He did walk 4, but had 7 strikeouts. And now Blazek will work to Pennington with De La Rosa on deck to open up the 7th. Cliff so far 0 for 2. He is grounded out twice. Getting the start at shortstop, Nick Ahmed has the night off. Tell you one thing, Diamondbacks have to be thrilled with what they've seen from their starting pitching in this series. Zach Godley Thursday in his major league debut. 6 scoreless innings, gave up only 4 hits. Patrick Corbin was sensational last night. 7 innings, 4 hits, a walk and 10 strikeouts, and now Ruby De La Rosa working on a 4-hit shutout, and that was one of your keys to the game, Bob. Follow the leader. Looking for a 1 win, 1 performance that'll sort of galvanize the team, and everybody in the rotation stepping up. But look at our Arizona Federal Credit Union power players of the game. The starting pitchers for the D-backs in this Milwaukee series.
Crazy good numbers for the starting pitching. Zach Godley was just an unexpected surprise in his major league debut. Patrick Corbin continues to make great strides coming back from that Tommy John surgery, and Ruby De La Rosa on top of his game tonight.
Keeping the ball down, getting a lot of ground ball outs. He's only walked 1. Giving up 4 hits, all singles. Now what would be nice is if the D-backs get some offense going. That first game against Milwaukee, they had 8 runs on 13 hits behind Godley. Lost a 2-1 game last night. So far tonight, just 4 hits for the Diamondbacks, only 1 since the first inning.
And going back to Ruby for just a moment, I gave the numbers earlier in the ballgame against left-handed batters. He had really struggled this year at giving up more homers to left-handed batters than anybody in Major League Baseball. But tonight, the Brewers lefties 1 for 9. Gerardo Parra with a single. That's been it.
We've seen Ruby do this a number of times over the course of the year. When he's on, he can get deep into a ball game and flirt with a shutout. Pennington strikes out, 1 down. Cliff is not happy with himself. Slays that one down on the way outside the strike zone. That's not what Turner Ward teaches. Hit yourself in the head.
Well, I would imagine that Turner Ward and Mark Grace have spent a considerable amount of time the last couple of days talking about making more contact, put the ball in play, 2-strike approach.
Strikeouts have been piling up.
Oh man,
it's been a problem.
An alarming rate. So when Penny chases a pitch off the strike zone like that, he knows he's probably going to get scolded when he gets back to the dugout. It's not that so much. It's just that he knows what the game plan was going into this ball game. Try to be a little more selective in those 2-strike counts, put the ball in play, and chase the batter.
Ender and Ciarte now, a double in the first. He's 1 for 3. 6 for 11 in the series. Strike one. You mentioned all the strikeouts. Now that you've got the 4 outfielders back, another chance to get Yasmani Tomas some time. Yasmani's been one of the guys, along with Owings and Lamb, that has really struggled to make consistent contact at plate. Ryan Braun, Blazek, a 1-2-3 7th. 8th inning we go. It's 2-0 D-backs. Goes deep against the A's for the Giants, but could San Fran keep pace with the Dodgers? Cole Hamels baffles the Cubs at Wrigley. Could he hold on and complete the no-no? Wait till you see the way that game ended. Plus, Adrian Peterson shows up at Vikings camp after more than 8 months away. That's tonight on Fox Sports Live. 8th inning, Ruby De La Rosa working on a 4-hit shutout.
Kind of lost in the shuffle of the Cole Hamels no-hitter against the Cubs today. That's his second no-hitter in a calendar year. He was part of that combined no-hitter last year. He started the game for the Phillies, went 6. Jake Diekman went an inning. Kevin Giles went an inning. Jonathan Papelbon an inning. A combined no-hitter September 1st last year.
Ruby De La Rosa starts the 8th inning at 96 pitches, 64 for strikes. Parra, the leadoff man, will lead it off. The bullpen with that pitch count up there is busy. Sanderson forward bullpen. Perez the lefty, Hernandez the righty. Parra 1 for 3, a single in the 3rd. All he does is hit. There's that one fine. Saw that beautiful video. How about that play? Dave Budrewitz with a great play. Our Golden Glover down the right field line. So that video of the golf course, that's the golf course at Cooperstown. As you look out on the back porch there, the great Otasaga, that old hotel, which is where everybody wants to stay in Cooperstown. Just beautiful up there, especially this time of year.
I think I've told the story before about my son Michael playing at the Big League Dreams, I think, is the name of the facility. It's a youth complex just outside of Cooperstown, and they roll tournaments in there all summer long. And we were fortunate enough to go back there and watch Michael play with a team from here in Arizona, the Wolverines, and kind of got on the bandwagon late because I was working, and yeah, I can make it, I can't make it, I can make it, I can't make it. So we were very late trying to find a room, and we ended up at a little no-tell motel, and I had the sanitary wrapped for your cleanliness around the toilet, and the little bars of soap, and real thin sheets. I mean, it just was a typical flea bag motel, but it was all that was left.
Chases a high fastball. He strikes out Parra. 6 strikeouts for Ruby.
And we wanted to leave a phone number for the babysitter who was taking care of my daughter back here in Arizona. So looked around the room. Wait a minute, there's no phone in the room. So I went up to the front desk and I said, "Excuse me, I think somebody stole the phone out of my room." "Oh no, the phone's right over there." And she pointed at a telephone pole. There was a payphone hanging on a pole out by the corner. That's the quaintness that is Cooperstown. You know, you never know what you're going to get. If you want to make a phone call, or if you're expecting a phone call, you got to put your slippers on and run out to the corner and answer the payphone.
It's like Petticoat Junction when the guy used to have to climb the telephone pole to make a call.
But I'll tell you what, it was one of the greatest weeks I ever had. We've said it many times. If you ever get the opportunity to get back to Cooperstown, New York, and see the Baseball Hall of Fame and just take in all that is. Big western town back there, right out of Norman Rockwell.
It is beautiful. But stay at the Oda Saga if you can. That's
highly recommend that.
All the Hall of Famers go there. Apparently there was an issue with Randy. I don't know if you saw this. Randy happened to mention it today during the interview process. They had the big 4 out there, and the media was all around him asking him all kinds of questions. Apparently Randy had to change rooms when he heard out that he found out his room was apparently haunted. I saw some guys. There's Cooperstown. It's just gorgeous there. But you know, the Oda Saga is an old hotel. It's beautiful. It's right on the lake. It's just spectacular. But there were some rumors, much like the fabulous Pfister, coincidentally in Milwaukee. I guess Randy changed rooms. I saw Zach Buchanan tweeting that out.
And chances are, if Randy changed rooms, that means somebody else had to change rooms, because everything's booked to the gills this weekend.
Oh yeah, even the Bates Motel you stayed at.
Yeah,
that's probably booked. He walked him. I don't know if Ruby's got enough left in the tank to finish this thing off. Chip Hale, in fact, might pull the plug right here. You've got Ryan Braun coming up, and he's the tying run at the plate with 1 out. But Ruby has pitched the perfect Ruby game. This was exactly what you'd hope for. Kept it down, got a lot of ground ball outs, walked only 2, struck out 6. He's given up so far just 4 hits, all singles.
Yeah, another one of those growing moments.
How about that? Leaving him in there.
Well, Castillo shook his head, yeah. Ruby De La Rosa shook his head, yeah. Chip Hill patted him on the chest, said, "Go get him."
At 104 pitches, Ryan Braun, 1 out. He has homered, keep in mind, in both of the first 2 games of this series, and he's the tying run at the plate with 1 down in the 8th. He singled in the first tonight. He's 1 for 3. Keep in mind also, Ryan Braun this year has been a much better hitter away from his home park. 50 points better, in fact, on the road. 14 of his 18 homers away from Miller Park, including 2 in this series here at Chase Field.
And the swing we've seen from Ryan Braun in this series so far, it seems designed to drive the ball to the opposite field. He doesn't really try to jump out there and snatch hook anything to left field. Content to look for something up and out over the plate and drive it to the opposite field.
What do you think about this move?
Well, you know, I think if you're looking at big picture, you got to find out if Ruby De La Rosa can pitch himself out of some jams late in a ball game when maybe he's a little bit on the downside. See if you can reach back and finish what you started.
Fly ball to center. AJ's there. Lucroy retreats, 2 down.
Now, if the Diamondbacks are half a game out of first place, I think you play the percentages, you roll the dice, and you play matchups from this point on. Be content with what you got from your starting pitcher, Ruby De La Rosa, and turn it over to the bullpen. But they're trying to build something for the future here, and they want these pitchers to think about pitching out of jams late in the ballgame.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Bob, how well Ruby has done against lefties here tonight, and he's got to get Shane Peterson to get through this 8th inning.
Left-handed batters for the Brewers, 1 for 10 tonight against Ruby.
He's given up just a walk and a single since the end of the 3rd inning. Very consistent.
It's kind of like with your kids, you know, when they're little toddlers, they're a year and a half old, and they're climbing on and off the furniture, and it'd be easy to jump out of your chair and run over there and catch them before they land on the carpet. But if you let them fall on the carpet a couple times, they'll learn.
I was going to say,
That's
Michael
stupid.
Take a header or two back in the day. High chopper foul.
I mean, how are they ever going to learn? You know, 18 years old, still playing on the furniture, and dad's jumping across the room to catch him. No, I don't think so. You learn how to get off the couch.
And Ruby trying to get out of trouble here. And he strand that one-out walk, tying one at the plate, 2 down in the 8th. Two and 2. Great crowd here tonight. 34,957. 110 pitches, 70 strikes. Can Ruby get through the 8th? Cell phone lights are flickering. 2 and 2. It's full. Carlos Gomez is on deck. He would be next. Goldie will play behind the runner Lucroy at first. He'll be off of the pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here goes Lucroy. Off the glove of De La Rosa. Owings is there. And Ruby is through 8 scoreless. 2-0 Diamondbacks.
And today, Ruby De La Rosa, a very nice pitching performance. Russ Ortiz, our guest analyst, will help me break it down here tonight on our postgame show, Diamondbacks Live, right after the game. We're seeing the good Ruby here today. Russ, give us a preview of what you'll talk about on the postgame about his performance.
Well, I think his Pittsburgh inning proficiency, I think that's the biggest thing, is that he's very consistent throughout the whole game. And you can tell that he had all his pitches working, and his rapport with Castillo has been really, really good.
All right, more from Russ Ortiz during our postgame show, guys. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Jody. Look forward to hearing from Russ after the ball game. Diamondback Live postgame show. There they are, Wellington Castillo and Ruby De La Rosa. What a battery they made tonight. Ruby has been outstanding. Jonathan Broxton on from the Milwaukee bullpen. 36 strikeouts in 35 innings, but a 6.17 ERA. And A.J. Pollock leads off the Diamondbacks' 8th. Looking for some insurance runs here. That'd be nice. There's 4 hits apiece for both sides. D-backs lead it 2-zip. A.J.'s walked twice and scored a run. He's 0 for 1. Talked a lot about Enrique Burgos, the big D-back reliever who's down at Reno right now. But Burgos, who patterned his delivery after Jonathan Broxton. They've got that same sort of pat, the glove tap they do as they release the ball. Easy fly ball to right center field. There's Gomez. Let's take a look at our State Farm report of the game. Danny Worth, we saw a lot of him in spring training. Last night for Phil Nevin's Reno Aces, 3 for 5, had a double, he drove in 5. That's a good way to break an 0 for 19, 5 RBIs.
That'll work.
And he's at almost 340 this year.
Nice. Hey, congratulations to the Hillsboro Hops, the defending Northwest League champions. They won their second straight first half title with a 3-2 win over Boise last night. That's been a really good program that the Diamondbacks have run in Hillsboro. I know Gracie was talking about how proud he was of his team. He was, of course, there last year as the hitting coach. And now Shelley Duncan managing the Hops this year. Goldie, an RBI double in the first. He walked in the third and struck out his last time. An ASU connection. Ryan Burr, the D-backs 5th round selection in the June draft out of Arizona State, finished that ball game up. Inning in the third, got himself a save. They just integrated a lot of those picks this year from the draft right into the system. Dansby Swanson about to head to Visalia. Brewers in the 9th. Another nice catch. Boy, it's been a great job by the fans here in this series. Brewers in the 9th. They'll have Carlos Gomez, Scooter Gennett, and Gene Segura, 5, 6, and 7. Normally I encourage fans to give it to a kid, but if you get a kiss out of it, give it to a pretty girl. Mission accomplished. 2-2. As promised earlier, our AZ Data Strong fan photo of the game as selected by new Brenly committee member Jeff Munn. See if Money got it right. Well, Money likes his food. Ooh. That's a lot of food. That's a whole homestand worth of food for Money. It's a cool picture of Mike, though, in the seats at Chase Field. His D-backs gear on. He's got the D-bat dog going. That's brought to you by T-Mobile. So, Jeff Munn, I think Money out of the gate, pretty good job. Not bad at all. Don't forget, fans, send us your fan photo using the hashtag AZDataStrongFan, brought to you by T-Mobile. You don't have to throw a no-hitter, a perfect game. You just have to have a nice, solid game out of the chute and build on it.
2-2. I think it is a telltale sign. That one got Lucroy. That we're only about 9-10 games into the second half of the season, and Leo's already out. Ooh, right on the bicep.
On that left arm. And then, as usual, gets Alan Porter in the face mask. Rarely does it hit just one of the guys back there with the gear on. Usually if it hits one, it hits them both. I think Jonathan Lucroy ought to take the day off tonight.
Martin Maldonado, the backup catcher. Day game after a night game, of course. 1:10 first pitch. Hellickson and Garza tomorrow. 2-2. Scooter Gennett. Hey fans, Diamondbacks baseball brought to you by Hayward Pool Products, enhancing the pool experience for over 80 years.
Left fielder.
Two down now for Peralta, who's 0 for 3. He has struck out twice. Brad Ziegler coming in. Diamondbacks have a 2-0 lead as we head to the ninth at Chase Field. Was the Cox Gig Live high-speed highlights, your Gila River game summary. Diamondbacks got 2 in the first against Taylor Youngman, and Ruby De La Rosa made it stick. Ruby outstanding, 8 scoreless innings. He gave up only 4 hits, all singles. He walked 2, had 6 strikeouts. And now here's Brad Ziegler to try and close out a 2-0 Diamondback win. Carlos Gomez leads it off for the Brewers. Gomez, Gennett, Segura, 5, 6, and 7. Gomez has walked and singled. He's 1 for 2. Fly ball to Peralta. Backing up at the track. Hey fans, you can watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. You'll get real-time highlights, live look-ins, a pitch tracking widget, and a whole lot more every night, every device, the whole thing. Blackout and other restrictions do apply, so check out MLB.tv for all the details. One away, here's Scooter Gennett. Gennett 0 for 3. Zach Godley outstanding here Thursday to open it up against the Brewers. Patrick Corbin struck out 10, sensational last night. And Ruby De La Rosa outstanding here. That's a fair ball. Goldie's got it, 2 down. It'll be up to Jeremy Hellickson to pick up the baton and run the anchor leg of this four-man relay against Matt Gausser.
Shortstop,
Shannon Roberts air conditioning, cool play of the game.
Yeah, this is the cool play of the game. Chip Hale with a trip to the mound to talk to Ruby De La Rosa. We assumed his evening was over. He talked his way back into the ball game, was able to get the final 2 outs of that inning. I really like that. You're talking about the development of young players. You don't want these guys to start looking over their shoulder in the 6th inning. Where's the bullpen help? I need to get out of this game.
Base hit for Segura. Hold the phone. First pitch swinging, he slapped it into right for a base hit. So the Brewers get the tying run to the plate, 2 down. Hernan Perez, the third baseman.
I played with a few pitchers that used to do that. They'd get through 5 innings of a ball game, a couple 3 hits, no runs, seemingly on top of their game, and all of a sudden they'd start cranking his neck around a little bit on the mound and raising his throwing arm up and down, looking down toward the bullpen for help, looking into the dugout at the pitching coach. Come get me. 5 and dive. You don't want to develop starting pitchers with the habit of 5 innings is good enough.
Ruby 8 scoreless. Goldie is not holding Segura on the bag down there. Segura didn't know what to do, frankly. He's kind of tap dancing around back there. And now he'll take second. Perez with a base hit. Segura flying into third. And with a pitcher spot coming up, it'll be Chris Davis.
Bad pitch out over the plate and down. Just one of those hard ground balls that finds a hole on the left side of the infield. Now you've got a guy at the plate with prodigious power when he makes contact. Continue to keep that ball down.
Segura is the runner at third. Perez, the tying run, is at first base. So Brad Ziegler, after 2 quick outs, 2 infield singles. They're on their feet here at Chase. Nearly 35,000. And here from Deer Valley High School is Chris Davis. 244 and 7 home runs. He was 0 for 2 with a walk last night. Two on and 2 out.
Good first pitch. You know Chris Davis is coming off that bench looking to hit a ball in the seats, sitting on fastball. Starts him with that flat frisbee slider, gets him way out in front.
Crowd on its feet here at Chase. One and one. Brad with a big matchup advantage here. Davis has been striking out a lot this year, nearly 25%. Yes, he went, Mark Ripperger, 1 and 2. Close enough. 2-2.
A good try right there. Either hit the corner or miss off the plate away. Don't leave it hanging over the middle of the plate. Put it in a real good location on that 1-2 pitch.
It's full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Parra's on deck. He would be next. Three-two pitch. Ball 4. They're loaded for Gerardo Parra. Three straight have reached against Brad Ziegler.
Left fielder Gerardo Parra.
Gerardo Parra, who began the game 6th in the league in hitting, steps in. Mike Harkey makes a mound visit. Whole infield will gather out there as well. About how to pitch to Parra.
Had a base hit against Ziegler in the ballgame last night. Pinch hitting for Chris Davis, who started the ballgame in left field last night.
Yeah, this was to lead off the 9th. He wound up coming home. Segura is the runner at third. Hernan Perez, the tying run at second. Chris Davis, the go-ahead run at first. Gerardo Parra, 1 for 4. A single in the third. Strike 1. Oh, 2. Great energy in here tonight, D-backs fans. 35,000 are on their feet. They want this one. Oh, 2 on Parra.
Pitches to play with here, but you do not want to go to a full count situation with Gerardo Parra with all the runners in motion on the bases.
Called strike 3. Brad Ziegler leads and loaded, and the Diamondbacks win it 2-0.
Again, that flat frisbee slider breaks right over the heart of the plate. Gerardo Parra has seen that from the other angle, looking in from the outfield.